Shoutouts for this video go to Love Minis, Horlicks and Chris Davies.
Oh no.
Mind the gap.
So issue 7 presented me with a small challenge, being that this is the first time in any of the part works that I've done where we have optional instructions. In this particular one we do a little bit of dry brushing and some washers. What I've decided to do, the way I'm going to tackle this, is I'm actually going to do the optionals as a separate video, so that those of you that want to put the Millennium Falcon together as per the magazine at a basic level, for example, if you are not so experienced with certain techniques, you can just watch this video and miss out the optionals, and I won't tie you down then with parts that you don't want to deal with. So from this video and from every video from there on in, there will be, if there's any optional parts or any advanced techniques, that will come out on a video that's released half an hour after this one. So there's a good chance that by the time you're watching this it's already been released. So as per usual, we go through the magazine, we have a look at the articles, fantastic articles. I say this every week, but they really are good, and there's no sign of letting off. And it comes with 7 parts. The main hold floor, you get 5 fixing screws. Now these screws are brass. You get a lounge seat frame, you get a bunk frame and a bunk base, and then you get a bunk top. And the next part, I got quite excited when I saw this. There's actually a sprue containing 9 pieces, which are the seats and the bulk cushions. So I'll just fast forward this while I just check the parts, and then we'll get on with the first of 3 sections, for this video. There's 4 sections in total. However, one of them is an optional technique which I'll deal with in a separate video. Okay, I was very impressed with this section. This is key skills working with sprues. The reason I was impressed with it is it doesn't assume you have any prior knowledge. So section 1 of stage 1 just simply tells you the equipment that you need. Now ideally you need some kind of file, you need some kind of side cutters or some kind of trimmers, and you need a craft knife. Now the side cutters aren't actually essential, however the job is going to be much easier with them. So, if you asked 100 different modelers how to do this, you will probably get 100 different answers. So I will explain the way that I do it. If you see anybody explain a different way, do not say, oh, that's wrong because Penny does it this way. This is just how I do it. So the first thing I do is I just trim down the sprue to a stage, to something smaller, a little bit easier to manage. And then you'll see there that on this particular case it's attached by three sprues, three sprue points, sorry. And what I actually do is I cut it as far away from the piece as I can. There's two reasons for this. Firstly, it's not going to accidentally split the actual part, and secondly, the cutters that I have are actually very good and they can cut very close. However, they can't cut flush. When the part that you cut is very close, as you're working on the first one or two, you kind of forget where you cut. Now some of the models I have, they might be attached by 7 or more different points, and by the time you get to about the 6th one, you forget how many you've done. You just completely lose the first one, and then you start painting and you're like, oh no, there's a little knob there that I've missed. So by leaving them long, they stick out like a sore thumb, and then they're just so much easier to deal with. So apologies for the cut. When I do my live stream, what happens is someone might ask me a question, and a lot of times it's a lot easier to deal with a question with a demonstration. In this particular case, someone asked me a question that wasn't actually related to the Star Wars build, so I have just cut that out. So once you've trimmed off the piece of sprue with your cutters, you've gone as close to the edge as you can. And then what you do is you trim that with a knife. You're not going to get right flush, and I wouldn't recommend doing it with a knife right flush. And then once you've done that, you need to just file it down flat. Now, at the most basic level, you could use something like an emery board. These are available from convenience stores and supermarkets, and they do the job very well. As a new hobbyist, flashy equipment is probably going to be hard to get hold of because you've got so many pieces of equipment to get. I've been doing this hobby now for 3-4 years, and I've picked up some nice little sanding sticks. The sticks that I use, I'm actually using the emery board in this video because I tried to be a little bit more basic if newer hobbyists are watching. But you can actually see on my desk I've got some sanding sticks, and these are very good because you can start off with the coarse one, which will make the filing down much quicker. That's the one I'm using right now. And then once you get really close, you then pick up a medium grade one, and then the one that I have just picked up there, I've just missed it, is actually a very fine one, but I also have a fine one. Now the fine one, it's going to take a long time to file it. It kind of more smooths it, and then the very fine one will polish it. And if you do it properly, you won't even know there was ever anything there. So having completed the first section, which is basically telling you how to work with sprues, we then move on to the second stage, which is fitting the cushions. And those key skills that we've just learned, we need to just apply that with removing all of the pieces. Now there should be the base, and the would help if I actually look at the parts, wouldn't it? The bunk frame, the bunk base, and the bunk top, and then the sprue containing the seats and the bunk cushions. Now there should be 2 seats, and there should be 3 pieces to the bunk cushion. And like I say, you just need to remove, using the principles that we've just learned. You need to just get all of those pieces all ready. And even the seats, the bunks, just check them, make sure there's no funny edges, make sure everything is as it should be. Okay. Once you have all those pieces ready, it's not a bad idea to just look ahead on the magazine and just dry fit all the pieces together, just to make sure they are going to work. The more you practice now, the easier the actual final job will be. Okay, so section 2 is fitting the large cushions. There's 2 of them. Now it doesn't seem to be that there's a right one. They both seem to go into both sides. And you'll see there's 4 locating lugs, locating pins. And all you need to do is just pop a very small dab of glue onto each. You can either do it into the recesses on the bunks, or you can do it onto the pins on the cushions. Either way will work fine. And then what I did, just for belt and braces, I then just popped a clamp over them just to push them in, just for a couple of minutes. This particular glue that I'm using, I find it a very good glue, very strong. Once it's dry, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so the next stage is to fit the cushions. Now there's 6 cushions in total. Now stages 4, 5 and 6 is attaching the cushions and then attaching the 2 halves of the bunk together. I actually kind of went a little bit freestyle, and what I did is, rather than attaching the cushions and then the middle cushions and then going on to the next section and attaching the cushions and then gluing them all together, I actually attached just the first set of cushions, leaving the middle ones, and then I glued the bunk together, and then I attached the middle cushions to cover the join. The drawback with doing it the way that I did it was that a pair of tweezers would become pretty much essential. It gives you a little bit less working space, however you do know that the parts are going to fit properly. Okay, in the last section, very simple. What we need to do is take the seat base and the cushions. We have a semicircle of cushions. Now on the base you will see, well, it's actually asked us to put 5 drops of super glue in. I decided I was going to do exactly as the magazine said, and what I tried to do was space them so that they went around. So I've done 3 on one side and 2 on the other, and we just pop that into place, and that's that particular section complete. So my apologies, the next stage is actually the optional techniques of painting, and what you're seeing here are the optional extras complete. So if you decide you want to do the optional extras, watch the next video, obviously read the magazine, see what we're doing, but obviously because I want to finish this off at a basic level, obviously I need to miss that part out, so I do apologise. So if you haven't completed the optional extras, your parts obviously aren't going to look quite the same as mine, because mine have been highlighted. So we're going to go in and we're going to do the cockpit. Now the first thing to note is my instrument panel that we did, I believe, in issue 2. If you remember the part where I popped some metal rods in just to slide the sticker on. that kept coming off. I think it was because it was the glue was a little bit too weak for the fact that it's a plastic part which is bent. So what I actually did was I put some super glue in. I just lifted one side and put a dab of super glue in, lifted the other side, put some super glue. This is the stage that you need to decide if that needs further sticking down, because we're now going to be assembling the cockpit, and that part is going to be harder. We may access it in later weeks, but we are now starting to put the cockpit together, and we are using glue. So once we start to use glue, it becomes a little bit more final. Okay, so the way that I recommend applying the super glue on this particular part is to pop some super glue onto a piece of plastic or something and apply it with a cocktail stick. You see here I'm applying glue to the first cockpit, the first pilot's seat, and obviously I've dry fitted this beforehand. Very easy to fit. Pop a little bit of glue on and then just pop it in and just leave it, and then we do the next seat in exactly the same way. You see there I'm doing a bit of dry fitting. That's the last dry fit I'll ever be able to do. If I get this glue wrong, it will not fit again. So just make sure you get it right. It's very, very simple, but just make sure the part is going to fit first. Okay, so the next stage is to glue in the control columns, which was making me happy. Now I didn't use a cocktail stick on this one, I just dipped it straight in. I couldn't see the point. We can apply it directly. And there you go, that goes in nicely. Make sure it's lined up, don't have it going off skew with at an angle, and then obviously we'll repeat that for the other control panel. But this is starting to make me happy now, because there are parts that were very loose. They were falling out. I was really getting worried that I was going to lose them, and it doesn't actually seem to state in the magazine, but also make sure you put those horrible little pigs of controls on the side. The ones that were very loose were falling all over the place. They are very small, so you see there that I'm using tweezers, and just keep test fitting. Once they go in, lovely, and then give it a minute or two before you start the next part, and just test that they have stuck down properly, because if you haven't built any more and these haven't gone in properly, you've now given yourself a bit more time to reapply. Simple job, but just a little bit fiddly. Okay, so for some odd reason, I cannot remember why at the time, but I've actually skipped to stage 7, and I've popped the side instrument panels in. Now please note that if you have not done the optional extras, yours will not look the same as mine. Mine has had the additional dry brushing done to it, so as a result it looks a little bit, well, I think it looks a little bit brighter, a little bit more defined. A term that we use is it's popped. So there you go, I'm just popping a little bit of glue in to make sure that stays down, and I have used the cocktail stick to apply the glue. So now we're going from section 7 to section 6, and we're just going to apply the instrument panel, or sorry, the forward console, and that's going to go on the front. Now there are some little lugs which will help you line up. It's a straightforward job. As you see, I do need to look on top, and I end up blocking the camera with my head. I do apologise. And that's it, it's just simply a push fit, and then we'll just apply some glue. and that will be in fine. Okay, so apologies for my vanity. I don't often get really pleased about the work that I do, but on this occasion I thought this has come out really well. So I did just have to stop and admire it. I do apologise for that. Okay, next we want to take the sprue that contains the control levers, and this was supplied with issue 6. We want to cut those off, and then we want to add those onto the instrument panel. Now note that there are 4 levers, 3 are the same, and then there's one that's different. To be honest with you, the best way to describe it is that it's a case of read the instructions. I found it difficult to describe. I think there's 3 that let's say there's 3 that are the same. The 3 on the right hand side, and then the last one is it's a straight one, which kind of looks like it's been pulled down. Let's say it's difficult to explain. It kind of makes sense once you pop it in. And what we need to do is, once we've cut those off the sprue, we need to glue those in with a little dab of super glue. Will do that fine. Handle the control levers with tweezers, and then just pop them in. Leave them for a minute, make sure that the glue has dried properly and they've been stuck in properly. And it's as simple as that. Okay, so next we insert the rear seats. These are the 2 black and white seats, and these go in behind the pilot seats, and these done exactly the same way as the pilot seats. Just apply a little bit of super glue with a cocktail stick, plenty of dry fitting before you've done the glue. Once you've glued it in, just kind of roll it in, and then just leave it for a minute. Okay, and the final section for this magazine, and I know you're going to be happy because I'm happy to finish this too. We need to just stick the bulkhead onto the cockpit, and this is a simple job. We just pop some glue onto the tabs. Basically, any point that's going to make contact, we'll just apply a little bit of glue, and then once that's in, we'll just leave it for a minute, make sure the glue is set. Once we're happy the glue is set, we will just do whatever you do to store these pieces so that they're safe for future issue. Okay, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. There will be a separate video, a separate short video, which will just explain a little bit about dry brushing techniques. If you may have noticed that some of my parts no longer look standard, such as those seats. And this is because I've done the optional extras. I will be doing a separate video on that. Okay guys, so enjoy the rest of the video. So in part 5, Love Minis has written, great job on doing the dry fit to find out if one could put it together wrong. Chris Davies has written, awesome video Penny. And Horlicks has written, great video Penny as always. I agree with your comment, they certainly know how to package the issues nicely. I have the same for my R2-D2 build. The more I am seeing, the more I really want to take on this build journey. There is so much more to build than just a few screws. The level of detail is absolutely stunning. If it is available after my DeLorean build, I will look into this unless something new comes out that tickles my fancy. Well, I am hearing rumours that when the R2-D2 finishes, they're bringing out X-Wing. I have no confirmation of that, but you know, it's going to be a case of something that's old but you know what you're getting, or something new, who knows. Okay guys, take care. There will be a video coming out a bit later today on the optional extras, but other than that I will see you all next week. Take care, bye bye.